page 14, continued para. In North India and Bengal, the bhukti was divided into vishayas, but if our interpretation of some phrases in the Damodarpur copperplate grants is accepted, even the latter were meant for the enjoyment of district officers placed over them. The phrase Anuvaha Manake Koti Varsha Vishaye has been rendered as, quote, ever prospering district, unquote, stop 77. But it would be more appropriate to take Anuva in the sense of carrying, which is supported by the comment to Manu, number 3.7, footnote 78. Hence, the term Anuvaha Manaka Vishaye should be understood as a district bearing burdens, the nature of which is indicated by the use of the phrase Hasti Ashva Jana, enjoyment, Hasti Hasty hyphen Ashva ASVA hyphen JANA hyphen Bhogena 79, which shows that the district contributed to the enjoyment of the governor either by supplying elephants, cavalry and infantry, or by defraying the cost of their maintenance by the district governor, stop 80. Thus it would appear that the Vishaya of Koti Varsha had to bear the burden of the enjoyment of its governor by maintaining his forces, stop 81 para. In the Maurya Empire, the Rajukas or divisional heads were appointed by the emperor, but their counterparts in the Gupta Empire, the Kumaramatiyas, were appointed by the Uparika. A passage in an inscription of Kumaragupta AD 448 has been taken as indicating a closer personal relation between the head of a district, Kumaramatya in Bengal, and the Gupta emperor, and it is suggested that the Kumaramatya of Panchanagari, who is described as Bhattaraka-Pad-Anudhyata bracket devoted to the feet of the Lord bracket closed 82, was appointed directly by Kumaragupta I, top 83. But the term Bhattaraka 84 does not refer to Kumaragupta, for in all his three earlier Bengal inscriptions he is described as Parama Bhattaraka, stop 85. This is also found in two other inscriptions in which the Gupta emperor Buddhagupta is described in exactly similar terms. Therefore, the crucial passage implies that the Kumaramatya of Panchanagari was devoted to his immediate lord, who may have been the head of the Punravardhana Bhukti. I read the footnotes from 77 to 85. 77. R.G. Bosak, E.I. 15, 131, FN2. 78 Monier Williams, Sanskrit English Dictionary, S.V. Anubha, A-N-U-V-A-H. 79 Cell INSCR, page 338, 1, 3. 80 The rendering, quote, the government of the infantry, cavalry and the elephants, unquote, EI 15, 144 does not represent the literal meaning, but may be accepted in a secondary sense. 83. BC Sen, Some Historical Aspects of the Inscriptions of Bengal, page 211. 84 Cell INSCR, pages 280 and 285. 85 Ibid, page 324, I, semicolon, EI 23, 8, 2I, 10 to 11. Probably the inscription refers to Buddhagupta. CF SCL INSCR, page 403, 1, 1. 86 CII, Roman capital III, 16, Roman II 3 to 4. Back to text, page 15. It was only in the heart of the Gupta Empire or in areas nearer their home that even the head of the Vishaya was appointed by the Gupta emperors, as we find in the case of Sarvanaga, Vishayapati of Antarvedi, or the country lying between the Ganga and the Yamuna, 86. But significantly enough, here also the terms of the appointment of the district officer refer not to the administration or welfare of the subjects, but to the enjoyment of his territory by the Vishayapati, 87. Thus it would appear that except in the areas in the heart of the empire, the Gupta emperor hardly enjoyed the direct allegiance of the district officers who were devoted to their immediate lord rather than to their overlord. Para. But it would be wrong to assume that the Uparika, Kumaramatya and Vishayapati behaved as independent feudal barons. Ordinarily, several royal officials, in some cases as many as 9, were connected with land grants in villages. 88. These grants mention higher and lower officers, but it is difficult to ascertain whether in all cases the designations of the officers are arranged in hierarchical order. A Gujarat inscription AD 541 recording a grant of land by the Mahasamanta Maharaja Sangama Singha conveys his order to his subordinates, who include Rajasthaniyas, Uparikas, Kumaramatyas, Charters, Bhatas and others, 89. The analogy of the Bengal inscription shows that the Uparika was higher in status than the Vishayapati and Kumaramatya. This shows that the order regarding grants was conveyed not only to high officials but also to their subordinates, which indicates that the ruler, in this case a feudatory, tried to make his authority felt even over the heads of the Vishayas, although these were appointed by the Uparika. Para. In course of time, Amatya and Kumaramatya became feudal titles. So far as the Amatyas are concerned, this was certainly the position in the time of Harsha, for at least at 2 places the Harsha Charita speaks of those Amatyas who were anointed Murth- Abhishikta SC Amatya Rajana. Stop. 90. Agarwala seems to suggest that the term Amatya here should be taken in the sense of companion or shokha, 91, and not in the sense of mantrin. But it would be better to take it in the sense of a high rank of honor or distinction. Footnotes from 86 to 91. 86 CII Roman capital 3I, 16, Roman capital 2I, 3 to 4. 87 Antarvediam Bhog Abhivriddhaye Vartamane Ibid, Roman 2, 4 to 5. 88 CII Roman 4, 7, 2, 2 to 4. 89 Ibid 11, Roman 2, 1 to 3. 90 Shrutabhigyana Sila Salina Murth Abhishikta SC Amatya Rajana. Capital HC, P 173. Crowned princes are represented as Amatya according to Agrawala, Harsha Charita, page 112. 91 HC, page 112. Agarwala adds that those who were attached to the prince were, page 16, known as Kumaramatya 92. The office may have originated in this manner, but later it became an independent position without having anything to do with the prince. It seems that the Kumaramatya was lower in rank than the Amatya. The fact that the Mantrin, Senapati, Mahadandanayaka, Vishayapati and other high administrative functionaries of Gupta times held the title of Kumaramatya is taken to suggest that it provided a cadre of officers like the Amatyas of the Arthashastra, from which all the high-ranking officers were recruited. But it would better explain things if the Kumaramatyas were taken as a feudal rank of honor conferred on high functionaries, including even a Maharaja. 93. Whether the title carried some fiscal or other privileges is not clear. But towards the end of the reign of the imperial Guptas, we find the Kumaramatya Maharaja Nandana making a land grant without the permission of the overlord, which suggests that by the middle of the 6th century AD, the Kumaramatyas had emerged as de facto lords of villages which they could give away. Para. The growing hereditary character of the divisional and district officers from the Gupta period onwards undermined central authority and tended to feudalize the administration further. Although Kautilya lays down that officials, amatyas and soldiers should be hereditary, we have hardly any contemporary epigraphic evidence to support this. But the inscriptions of the Gupta period show that the posts of the Mantrin and the Sachiva, who served with the Gupta emperor, were hereditary. 94. So was the post of the Amatya in central India, 95, and Vaishali, 96. In one case in central India, we find 5 generations of office holders in one family, of whom the first was Amatya, the second Amatya and Bhogika, the third Bhogika, and the fourth and the fifth Mahasandhi Vigrahika, 97. The same region also furnishes other instances of 298 and sometimes 399 generations of Bhogikas. Further, the surname Datta, D-A-T-T-A, of the Uparikas in charge of the Bhukti of Punravardhana, 100, suggests that they probably belong to the same family. Theoretically, the emperor enjoyed the power of dismissing his officials, but in practice they and their descendants continued to be in office because of their local strength. They further gained in power and influence because of the practice of combining several offices in the same person. Footnotes 92 to 100. 92 Ibid. 93 JASB, NSV 1909, 164. 94 SEL INSCR pages 282 to 3, Roman capital 2I 6 to 7 semicolon. CII Roman capital 3I 6, 2I 3 to 4. 95 CII Roman 3I 22, 2I 28 to 30. 96 Dikshitar, the Gupta polity, pages 149 to 50. 97 CII 3I 22, 2I, 28 to 30 semicolon. 23, 2I, 18 to 20. 98 Ibid 27, 2I, 21 to 2. 99 Ibid, 26, 2I, 22 to 3. 100 SEL INSCR page 284 I, 3 semicolon. Page 324, I, 2 semicolon. Page 328, I, point 2. Text. They further gained in power and influence because of the practice of combining several offices in the same person. Page 17, para. From the 7th century AD onwards, officials began to be invested with pompous feudal titles. Bhaskar Barman's treasurer, Bhandagaradhikrit Divakara Prabha, held the title of Mahasamanta 101. Similarly, the officers of Harshavardhana were designated as Mahasamanta. What is more important, the pompous epithet acquirer of the Pancha Mahasabda came to be applied to the officials and vassals in this period. In eastern India, this epithet was conferred on some high functionaries of the state. The chief executor of a grant of Bhaskar Varman was known as Prapto Pancha Mahasava 102. In western India, the early Gurjara king Dadda II held this title 103 and passed it on to the Sendrakas in the third quarter of the 7th century 104. Para. The Rashtrakuta chief Nanna Raja, a direct collateral ancestor of Danti Durga, claims in his grant of 631 to 32 that unlike his ancestors, he was a ruler entitled to the dignity of the Pancha Mahasabda, which he had personally won. 105. This implies that only certain remarkable services rendered by the vassal to his overlord enabled him to earn this privilege. According to the Manasollasa, a text of the 12th century, this privilege signified the use of 5 musical instruments, 106, which are referred to by a Jain writer, Ravakotyacharya, and enumerated by a Lingayat writer as Shringa, horn, Tammata, Tammata, Shankha, conch, Bheri, drum, and Jayaghanta, bell of victory, stop, 107. This was possibly at first a prerogative of the paramount power, but later extended to vassals. Para. It is striking to note that during the Gupta period, village headmen appointed by the king were becoming semi-feudal officers primarily concerned with their own gains. What was done in the Maurya period by the superintendent of agriculture in the interest of the state was now done by the village headman, Gram Adhipati Ayuktaka, for filling his own granary, 108. The Ayuktaka, who seems to be mentioned as a village official in some central Indian inscriptions of the early 5th century AD 109, lived upon a share of the agricultural produce of the village people 110, probably sending the major portion thus realized to the king. What is remarkable is that he could impose forced labor on peasant women to serve his own needs, 111, and not for the sake of the ruler, as was the case in earlier times. Footnotes 101 to 111. 101 R.B. Pandey, Historical and Literary Inscriptions, 56, 1, 50. 102 Ibid, 2, 47 to 48. Footnote page 60. 103 CII Roman 4, 16, 1, 31. 104 EIXXV III 34 plate A 2, 11 to 12, plate B 1, 16. 105 Altekar, the Rashtrakutas and their times, page 7. 106 III verse 1336. 107 IAXII 96. 108 comma S comma V comma 5.5. 109 CII IV comma 6 comma 1 comma 2. Only the Ayuktaka is mentioned in connections with the land grant, semicolon, 7, II, 2 to 4. 110, S, V, 5.5. 111, Ibid. Page 18 During the Gupta period, there arose a new type of village which served as the resort of royal favorites. It is stated in a Purana text that such a village was mostly inhabited by wicked and powerful people who, not owning any fields themselves, lived upon the fields of others. 112. The class of royal favorites who formed a group of intermediaries seem to have been an important concomitant of feudal development on the political side. Para. The process of conquest by which smaller chiefs were reduced to subordination and reinstated in their positions, provided they paid regular tributes and did homage, contributed in large measure to the growth of feudal relations. It reached its culmination with Samudragupta, whose whirlwind conquests of vast areas led to the establishment of such relations on a much wider scale and provided a pattern for his successors. During the 6th century AD, the term used for conquered feudatories was Samanta. It is evident from its use in the Arthashastra of Kautilya and the inscriptions of Ashoka 113 that in the Maurya period this term meant independent neighbors. In post-Maurya law books, it was used in the sense of a neighboring proprietor of land, 114, and not in the sense of a feudal lord as has been made out in a recent work, 115. Similarly, there is no evidence for the view that Manu, VII.136 and 9 provides for the collection of the share of produce, taxes, fines, etc. by the Samantas, estate owners, and not by the king or ruler of the country. 116. It seems that as early as the 3rd quarter of the 5th century AD, the term Samanta was used in the sense of vassal in South India, for the phrase Samanta Chura Manaya appears in a Pallava inscription of the time of Shanti Varman circa AD 455 to 70. Footnote 117. In the last quarter of the same century, the term occurs in some grants of southern and western India in the sense of vassal, 118. In North India, the earliest uses of the term in a similar sense seem to have been in a Bengal inscription and in the Barabar Hill cave inscription of the Maukhari chief Anantavarman, in which his father is described as Shamanta Churamani, bracket, quote, the best among feudatories, unquote, bracket closed, 119. Paleographically, this inscription is placed earlier than AD 554, the date of the Harha, HRHA inscription, 120, and hence, page 19, the date of Anantavarman's father may be put round about AD 500 when the Maukharis were the Samantas of the imperial Guptas. The next important mention of the term Samanta is found in the Mandsaur stone pillar inscription of Yashodharman, circa AD 525 to 35, in which he claims to have subjugated the Samantas, feudatories, in the whole of northern India. Stop, 121. During the 6th century AD, the rulers of Vallavi bore the title of Samanta Maharaja and Mahasamanta. Gradually, the application of the term Samanta was extended from defeated chiefs to royal officials. Thus, in the inscriptions dated in the Kalachuri Chedi era, from AD 597 onwards, Rajas and Samantas took the place of Uparikas and Kumaramatyas, 122. Later in the land grants of Harshavardhana, the term Samanta Maharaja and Mahasamanta appear as the titles of great imperial officers. Stop, 123. Para. The term Samanta is not used for the feudatories of Samudragupta, but their obligations are clearly set forth in the Allahabad inscription. which shows that in return for being reinstated in their thrones, the conquered and subjugated princes were expected to pay all tributes, to carry out royal orders, to give their daughters in marriage, and to render homage to the conqueror. 1-4. Bana, the first writer to indicate the obligations of the Samantas, in his Harshacharit provides a kind of glass on the precious little extracted from the inscription of Samudragupta. We learn that Pushpabhuti had met his Mahasamantas as his tributaries, Karada. Stop 1-5. In the areas administered by the Samantas, the emperor realized annual taxes from them and not from the subjects. Stop 1-6. Whether the vassals were free to increase the taxes or to impose fresh ones is not clear, but they were held accountable for royal taxes in the areas held by them. Para. The Kadambari mentions 5 modes of saluting the king, Pranam Agamana, by the defeated kings who were certainly reduced to the position of Samantas. These included salute by bowing the head, bowing the head and touching the feet of the emperor, bowing the head and touching the palm of the feet of the emperor, bracket, described as taking the dust from the feet of the emperor by the defeated Samanta on his head in the Harshacharita, bracket closed, and finally placing the head on the earth near the feet of the emperor. Stop 1-7. Footnotes 112 to 127. 112 Markondeo P, 49, stop 49, stop. Emendat's translation of this passage seems to be better than that of Parjitar. 113 AS1 6 RE2 1, 5. 114 Manu SBE 8 286 to 9 semicolon Yaj 2 152 to 3. 115 Biendat Hindu Law of Inheritance, page 27. 116 Prannath Economic Conditions in Ancient India, page 160. 117 R.B. Pandey Historical and Literary Inscriptions, number 29, 1.31. 118 These instances have been collected by L. Gopal in quote Samanta dash its varying significance in ancient India unquote JRAS Perths 1 and 2 April 1963. 119 CII 113 CII Roman III 49 1.4. 120 Arjibasak, The History of North NE India, page 105. 121 SCL INSCR, page 394, verse 5. 122 CII 4 Introd P CXLI. 125 EII 67F 4, 208. 124 LI 22 to 4. 125 Karadikrita Mahasamanta HC, page 100. 126 Agrawala Harshacharita P 217. 127 Agrawala Kadambari P 128. According to Agrawala, numbers 4 and 5 are covered by the term Sekhari Bhavantu Padaraja Rajamsi, page 128.